Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk all the time about the digital media world. It's loud, it's crowded, it's wrong, there's misinformation, but hey, that's another podcast we can talk about another time. But if you need to get in touch with your current clients and your future clients, you need professionals like the folks at Oak City Tech. So go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. And each week, about 30 chapters and almost 520 members get together, and our job is to help each other grow our businesses. And our small business success story today is Lindsey Reedy with Hill Law. Lindsay's also a member of RD 48 Next Level, which she just recently joined. We'll talk about that. They meet Thursday mornings at 8:15. Right now it's on Zoom, but if you want to get to know some very good business people and professionals in the Cary area, that's a group to visit. Lindsay, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Did you survive the ice storm yesterday that the Triangle just always gets?
I did. Unfortunately, we did not get any snow, so I was very disappointed on that.
Yeah, if I know I'm gonna be home and I got nowhere to go, I want some snow. Ice, no fun. Give me some snow.
Exactly. You can't go out and play in the ice.
You know?
It's terrible to travel in. It's such a pain, whereas snow is so fun and it makes everything very beautiful, especially if you have the opportunity to work from home.
Yep.
So
Well,
very sad we didn't get snow this weekend.
oh, well, maybe next time, and for those, listening and watching, if you did get some of the weather, hope you were safe and everything went okay. Alright, Lindsay is a business attorney and startup lawyer, or lawyer and startup attorney. We'll get to attorney and lawyer thing here in a minute. So what does that mean to folks who have a business?
So, what that means to people that have a business or are thinking about starting up their own business, it means that we are attorneys that can walk you throughout the lifetime of your business. So, if you are looking to start your company, we'll help you with drafting startup documents and getting those filed, helping you grow your business, and then ultimately helping you implement your exit strategy.
Do people actually call you and almost say, "Hey, how do I get it started? I know what I wanna do, but how do I literally get it started?"
They do. Yes, actually, I believe I had shared this story at BNI or a recent networking event, but I recently have been working with a new gym owner. We have worked together for almost a year now and have worked through several obstacles, and he will be launching at the end of February. So, very exciting. We get calls all the time of, I have this business idea. Now, how do I make it happen? And that's our role. Not only do we play into the legal side of things, but we've got fantastic connections to make sure you know who you need to make your business successful.
Where if and where do small business owners get themselves in trouble when starting a business?
Unfortunately, there are several areas that you can get yourself into a bad spot on. Initially, one of the things that pops into my mind that I've seen a lot of here recently are people that don't have agreements between themselves and their partners, whether that be an operating agreement, bylaws, a partnership agreement, something to dictate how that partnership will work within the business, how you bring on a new partner, how decisions are made, things of that nature. I always recommend you have something in place because not only is it beneficial to the potential success of your business, but it also can help safeguard your friendship with that person.
When I work with clients or have conversations with people about that, I tell them it's not personal. It's business, but you're right, it's there to protect each other because you're going to have conversations. If you're a business partner, you're going to have disagreements, and you should, because if both of you if there's 2 partners in a business and you both think the same way on every issue every time, it's gonna be hard to grow or try new things. So
Exactly.
it's okay to differ, but there always has to be somebody in my mind that has the final say so. I've heard 50-50 deals before, and man, oh man, that's just for me, that's a recipe for trouble.
50-50 is very hard. At that point, we're having to look into tiebreaker provisions and how large decisions need to be made. Is it a unanimous decision requirement? Do we have a mediation option? And so 50-50 can be tough. It is possible, but the business owners who go into that setup need to figure out what will happen if there is a disagreement.
And the other thing I've seen happen on the back end, and I know you have this conversation with folks all the time, is if two people are going into business and they each have a spouse, it needs to be written correctly on what an exit plan is, especially if one of them were to pass, because the
Yes.
spouse may not want the business, your business partner may not like your spouse, or your spouse may not like your business partner. There's all kinds of trouble that could get into it, especially if one of them just doesn't want to be in the business.
Right. And there are so many intricacies to business succession planning. And so that is something that you do need to talk with your partner about on who gets the financial interest, but who gets voting rights, what will that look like? And just make sure everyone is on board and knows the plan, just on the off chance something happens to one of the partners.
Yeah, because you never know. And just in general, then you throw COVID into it and, things like that that we don't see coming. It's not offensive to tell people we need to sign this. It's actually smart.
Well, I always tell my clients, if they have concerns about pushing an agreement on their partner, blame me. Use me as the scapegoat. It is not you. I am the attorney for the business, and I'm requiring that this agreement get signed. And so that's what I have my clients do if they have any concern on actually having their partner sign it.
Yeah, because then they'll go, ugh, lawyers, and then they'll sign it, which is the goal anyways, right?
Exactly. It's very different for business attorneys than for your typical attorney. Business attorneys represent the best interests of the company, not the individuals themselves. And so when I'm working and drafting these documents, I'm thinking about the future success of the business, what I need to keep in mind, where we're going in the next few steps. And ultimately, those agreements are a core part of making sure we're protecting the business. So I do not mind being the scapegoat and being the bad guy and making sure those are signed.
My guess is they probably thank you down the road because you did that.
They do, they do. Like I said, the partnership disagreements are actually more common than you think. And to have something in place that already explains what will happen if there is a disagreement, as I mentioned before, not only does it save the business, but it also saves the friendship because you wouldn't have gone into business with someone you didn't trust or like. And you want to protect that relationship with that person.
It's almost like insurance. You don't need it till you need it.
Yes, exactly. It's a safety net, right? That's what it's there for.
Do many people come to you to trademark a product, a thought, or a tagline?
Yes. So our company works with trademarks as well. We do relatively simple trademarks, and so that is something that we're looking to grow over the next couple years. Our firm is currently looking at ways that we can expand our services to better suit the needs of our clients. And so we are looking to expand into that area further.
Because we all have that cool idea that nobody's ever thought of, right? Sure, you've
Right.
seen that, and and then you go into searching, whatever it is, just to see what's out there, and 400 things show up. It's like, maybe we weren't as smart as we thought we were.
Well, and that's one of my jobs as well. So recently I had a business come to me solely for a trademark. They had been in business for a while. And the first step when I'm working to get a trademark registered is I perform a trademark search with USPTO. I'm looking across the internet trying to find if anyone has common law rights to that trademark, if they've been using it in business for a while. And so I unfortunately had to let my client know, You can go ahead and move forward with trying to register this trademark, but I don't think it's worth your time. I think there is a substantial chance that that trademark application gets rejected. And so that's one of my jobs as well, is making sure that I'm safeguarding the financial interests of the business, making sure you're not spending money where you really don't need to.
And a lot of us can quote a tagline of a favorite product or whatever, and you see Nike just do it, and
Mhm.
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, things like that. I've been noticing though on social media with a hashtag, can I hashtag just do it and not get in trouble from Nike?
Yes, you can. So there's nothing wrong with actually hashtagging it on your personal social media or things of that nature. Where you start to see some issues is if you're using it as in your business as your own. So, say for example, there are several gyms I'm working with right now. Say they wanted to start using that and they were portraying it as their own saying. At that point, we're looking at potential trademark infringement, and the repercussions of that can be incredibly detrimental to a business. And so that's one of the things that we talk about as well. Normally, when I'm working with clients, we sit down and walk through all aspects of the business. Tell me what your products and services are, tell me what you're using to market, things of that nature. And so we'll look at that as well to make sure they're not outrightedly infringing on a registered trademark.
I know in social media, the laws and the rules are changing every day, and some things aren't rules written for because it just showed up today or yesterday,
Mhm.
and they're scrambling trying to but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the whole goal, the interest is correct to protect the person that came up with the original idea.
Right.
No matter how it's used, if somebody wants to, on social media or, in that world, try to come say that, no, 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 we're kind of using it this way. It's like, no, not quite, but
Right. There's it the rules of trademark are incredibly vast, and it is tough. There are some gray areas that you have to make sure you're wading through correctly. And, ultimately, there's different types of trademarks. So the rights and responsibilities that come with that trademark will depend on the type that they registered. So there's a lot of different things to consider when you're using slogans or logos that are similar to another company's.
then if I'm trying to convince future clients to sign up with me as a business coach, I can't use hashtag just do it, hire a coach. Would I get a
It
phone call one day?
this is what I tell all of my clients. There is a practical side of things and a legal side of things. So legally, that may or may not be acceptable. But on the practical side of things, is Nike really going to come after you for a singular post? Do the cost of litigation, the cost of sending demand letters, the cost of finding every single business that does that really outweigh or does that really equal the benefits of going after people? No. The reality is no. But you still need to be careful on the off chance that they decide to move forward with that. So you
And
have to keep
yeah,
both a legal and a practical
yeah.
side of things in mind.
Yeah, and I have learned over the years that if you have to stop and think for a second, is this right or wrong? And then you chuckle like, could I get away with most of it for a long time? Then it probably is something you shouldn't be chasing.
Right, exactly.
Common sense sometimes, because I'm sure you look at clients and you go, do you think that's the right way to go? And they're like, ah, you're right, probably
Right. And one of the things I tell my clients is if you do have to hesitate before you do something, and there is even a slight question of whether you should or should not, you should call me and let's make sure that this is something that is not only acceptable for your business to do, but also the right decision across the board.
Yeah, and over the years, I've heard this recommendation many times, and I agree with it. Is if you can't say it in front of your boss or your mother, you probably shouldn't say it anywhere. And I so believe that. And I'd like to take it one step further. If you can't say it in front of your grandmother, because Nobody wants to disappoint their grandmother.
Exactly. Well, and this applies not only on the business front of things, such as posting to your business social media, but also as a person that operates that business.
Mm,
A lot of small businesses either have one or two partners that operates that business. And so you as an individual essentially are that business.
mm.
So you have to also make sure you're careful about what you're posting and what you are portraying because it's a direct reflection on your company.
And that's another conversation to have another day, but it is interesting what content small business owners choose to post. And again, anybody you post whatever you want, does not matter to me. But sometimes you look at stuff people post and you're like, did you think that through before you hit post?
No, it's so one of the wonderful things about social media is we do have access to a vast amount of people,
Mhm.
but that's also to our detriment, right? And so if you're not thinking through what you're posting, you're not thinking through what is being said and the meaning behind it, it ultimately can hurt not only you personally, but also your business.
Yeah.
So business owners need to keep, I talk about the legal side of things, but also try to help business owners understand the practical side of things or marketing or accounting, things of that nature. And there's just so many things on social media that can harm your business. You have to be so careful.
Yes, and that is our public service announcement for today. Post whatever you want, but just be ready for blowback if you thought, "Huh, so that bothered people." Just be prepared for that because it may or may not, and you may not care. And you know what? It's
Right.
like Lindsay said, it's your business. You do whatever you want, but sometimes you look at it and go, "Oh, did you mean to A, say that, and B, say it that way?" So anyways, we are here with Lindsey Reedy of Hill Law. She is a startup and business attorney. She's also a member of RD 48, Next Level BNI chapter. They meet Thursday mornings at 8:15. Right now, they're on Zoom. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk a lot of times, folks, about what you own. You don't own your Facebook page. They can take it away in an hour if they want to, if you posted something they didn't like. And a lot of the opportunities like that on those platforms, somebody else owns. So think about what you want to own and what you want to control. Things like an email list, newsletters, opportunities like that to get to your current and future clients. The pros at Oak City Tech can help you do that. So go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help. All right, Lindsay. So one of the neat things I like about this show is different. You and I, a little bit of an age group difference, which I like. I'm not in the legal field, which I like to learn. And you are new to the legal world. And i- I'm always interested on what that arc is like because you started out at NC State in animal science. And first of all, let me ask how you go from animal science to Hill Law. How does that
So that
happen?
that's a good question. So I get this question a lot. Um, I unfortunately, so let me back up and give you a little bit of a backstory on this. So I grew up knowing I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I also grew up going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings with my father and doing various business things with my father. My father owns and is a partner at several pediatric practices in the Thomasville, Trinity area. And so I knew I had an interest in business, but I wanted to be a veterinarian. So I went to college, started off on the vet school path, wanted to eventually graduate and head to vet school. And unfortunately, I had a family member pass my junior year. And before she passed away, one of the things we had talked about was making sure that what I am doing with my life is something I am passionate about and something that I love. And what I realized was I was heading to vet school because it was something I had always known. It was not something that I was passionate about any longer. And so I met with advisors, I met with family members, I talked with trusted professionals to figure out what my skill sets were, what my passions were, and how I could use those to serve the community. And I ended up heading to law school, and I have not looked back since. It is a fantastic fit for me. I love what I do. I get to help small business owners start and grow their business. And that is something really special to be a part of, even as just the business attorney.
Now, while I would never have gone to law school because my attention to detail is about 8 seconds long, I really would enjoy the debating and the arguing part of it because that's a lot of fun.
It,
So
it's
yep.
it's definitely very interesting. I law school is was a challenge. I am mostly a transactional attorney. I do some litigation on the business side of things, but I do prefer the transactional, sitting down with business owners, making sure all of our documents are in a good spot and things of that nature. So, but I came from Campbell Law School, and they are known for litigation, so I certainly got a taste of that while I was there.
So you graduate from NC State with an undergrad, animal science. You head to where is Nottingham Law School?
So it's in Nottingham, England. So I graduated with a dual degree. I went to Campbell Law School and got my Juris Doctor. And then I also simultaneously got my Master's of Law in International Legal Studies from Nottingham Law School. And I graduated with both in May of 2020.
Very nice. Now, what is the difference between a lawyer and an attorney?
So oftentimes these terms are used interchangeably for the public, but what it actually means is an attorney is someone who has, or a, an attorney is someone who has graduated from law school and also passed the bar exam, which is the exam all attorneys have to take in order to practice. But a lawyer is just someone who has graduated from law school and cannot yet practice.
You do you have to pass the bar to be able to practice anywhere in the legal field?
You do. So there's a difference between, you have attorneys, you have paralegals. Paralegals have their own certification process that they can choose to do. Attorneys are required to go to law school and pass the bar exam to be able to practice. There are two different types of bar exams, though. You can have a state specific bar exam, or you can have the UBE, which is the Universal Bar Exam, which several states have opted into. And so North Carolina is a UBE state.
And what does the UBE get you that the individual state does not?
So if you, each state that is a UBE, I believe I said Universal Bar Exam, it's the Uniform Bar Exam. But the UBE states get to set a score that a taker has to hit in order to practice in their state. Now, if you end up getting a high enough score, then you potentially can practice and waive into any of those UBE states, so long as you pass some other certifications and requirements that are specific to that state. But you don't have to take a state specific bar exam, which is why the UBE is incredibly beneficial. I believe there's about 23 UBE states right now. And so luckily when I took the bar exam, I passed with a score high enough to practice in any of them. And which is nice. As an attorney, I have the ability to potentially go and practice and get licensed in any of those states. So that's where the benefit comes from the UBE.
If somebody watching or listening to the show lives in Georgia and they're like, "Hey, you know what? I like Lindsay. I need to call her up." Would you be able to help them quickly or do you have to go through paperwork process?
So I can still the answer is, and this is a very attorney answer, it depends. So long as there is some connection to North Carolina or a couple of other details that I would need to look at, I might be able to help them. The fantastic thing is I'm very well connected and I can make sure if it's something I cannot assist with, I will find them someone to get them taken care of.
Now, if a friend or a family member or loved one asks you a question that you don't want answered, do you use that word it or that phrase, "it depends"?
I do. I am one of those people though that I am very much a people pleaser, and I want to make sure people are taken care of the best of my ability, and that applies to all aspects of my life. And so I am normally more than happy to jump on, do some legal research, find them an answer, and go from there, just to make sure that they're taken care of.
No,
Um,
I wanna know if somebody gives you an option for dinner. Do you want Mexican or Chinese? And you really don't want to answer, or you don't care, do you go, it depends.
All the time, all the time. I mean, it is the phrase "it depends" is just such um, a very common word used in our language. We use it all day because there are so many variations under the law on what is acceptable and what is not for businesses. And so, it is something that translates into your personal life very quickly.
And do your friends and family know when they're being lawyered in a conversation?
Yes, they do. They, my parents are very quick to say, "I need you to turn off the attorney part of you, Lindsay, and let's have a human conversation." And so, they've gotten very good at picking up when I'm using my negotiation skills to try to work through an argument, because that is one of the things that I offer my clients is I help them negotiate contracts, and it's a very particular skill set, and so I do in fact use it in my personal life and get called out for it very often.
I also believe, because we've had a couple lawyers on the show over the, time we've been on, and you are in one of those industries where people see you at an event or a party and they go, and you're in trouble when they say, "Lindsay, can I ask you one quick question?"
All the time, all the time.
And then you have to realize, okay, in your mind, you're going through, okay, 2 minutes, probably a simple directional guidance, right? Where they need to, stuff like that. And then after 5 minutes, you have to decide, all right, am I going to stop this person and go, dude, my billing is X an hour, whatever it is, and you can call my office and set up an appointment.
Well, and it's so I have a fairly easy out on that, I guess you could say, but it's also something I'm required to do. So at networking events, this happens all the time,
Oh,
to
yeah.
where someone will come and say, "Hey, I've got this going on with my business." Because of the attorney client privilege that I want to make sure we keep in place, I always tell potential clients, send me an email. Let's jump on a call when it's just the two of us. But I don't want to potentially break this attorney client privilege that we really need to protect you by having this conversation here. And so that's normally how I can get them to schedule a call with me. And I do, I've had a couple people come up and ask me litigation questions where there's a dispute at issue. And, I really want to avoid breaking that attorney client privilege to where the other side can then access those conversations. So that is one of the reasons and one of the ways that I'm able to move that into a phone call.
And plus, I'm sure at networking events, you've had people approach you before. They're a little drunk and they're pissed, right? And they're like, finally, I got a lawyer cornered.
Yes. Oh, yes, that has happened several times as well. I will say, the pandemic has shifted much of my networking online, and so it does not happen as often. But yes, that does happen, and that one's a little bit tougher to negotiate into a phone call, as I'm sure you can guess.
Oh, yeah, they probably don't remember what you told them. There's like, "Man, I
Yeah.
I met a lawyer yesterday, but I think I'm supposed to follow up," but which works in your favor that they don't find you again.
It does, and, I it's one of those things where, like I said, I love to help people,
Mhm.
and so if it's something where they're telling me a couple different things, I'm like, this is probably a situation we've gotta get taken care of." Normally, I'll just give them a card and jot a little note on the back about what we talked about and tell them to give me a call, in those situations, so that way I've at least kind of made sure I'm doing my part on it, but yes, it's drunk people at networking events are fun as an attorney.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they can get themselves in trouble, but the whole goal, though, is to amuse you, and it sounds like they do.
Oh,
And
yes.
and I know you have that out because if that same person walks up to an insurance person or realtor, they can kinda give them parameters on things or things to think about, and you really can't offer them anything, so it's the ultimate out.
It is. It definitely is. So that's why if I can slide them a business card with just a little bit of information, then they can call me when they've sobered up and we can have a full conversation. Obviously, too, when you've been drinking, things are exaggerated,
Yes. Yep.
maybe not getting the whole truth. So that's not an ideal time for potential clients to come to me and say, "This is what I have going on. I need desperate help," things of that nature. So,
You really I don't know who prints your business cards, but you really ought to have one, and on the back, and this is for selected people, on the back, it should you should have printed on there, "When you sober up," and that's when you write in the topic, "Call me and ask me about the dispute regarding X," and just, oh, that'd be hilarious.
like a little notes section. Yeah, I really should.
Yeah,
I really should.
and
So,
then they look at it and go, "Wow, was I that drunk? Dude, a lawyer
well,
gave you a card saying you were."
and it happens too right now. A lot of people have been cooped up during the
Mhm.
pandemic. And so when they get out, people are enjoying being around each other. And so it happens more than you would think. But I definitely need to look into that. I will have to reach out to some people, see if I can get those
Yeah,
printed.
yeah. But in all seriousness, though, I bet you get stopped by people who truly are in trouble with their business because of COVID and things they
Yes.
haven't been able to do and opportunities like that. That I'm like I said, I'm sure there are people that corner you and like, look, I got a big problem.
Right. Well, and COVID has thrown a loop in a lot of small
Yep.
businesses. I will tell you, some of our clients have done a very good job of pivoting and making sure that the products or services that they're offering are now COVID friendly, whether that is making sure that their staff is acting in accordance with CDC guidelines or things of that nature. So it's really been a time of shifting how we do business or what products we're offering. And I've been very proud of some of the businesses we've worked with. They've done a fantastic job.
We've had a couple of female attorneys on the show. I think you know both of the two of them, Alex Anderson and Christy Cook, friends of the
Hmm.
show. And I asked both of them, what it's like to be a female attorney in a male world, and first let me explain that thankfully a lot of my generation is retiring, so they don't treat women, you know so hopefully your generation's better at that, but I know it's still it I know you get that look or that condescending comment like, "Now, darling," and crap like that that just I know you wanna hit hit them, right?
Yeah, it happens pretty frequently being a young woman and an attorney. I One of the ways that I have learned to deal with it is specifically on the side where I'm putting their options on the table, I'm advising them, and they start to, in a condescending manner, kind of just say, "Okay, well, I want to do this instead." At that point, it's a conversation of, "Okay, well, here's my research. This is what I'm telling you is the best option. If you're not going to take it, then you're wasting your funds on me. There's no reason for you to hire an attorney if you're not going to listen to the advice I'm giving." And so it's tough to navigate it because you always want to put your client first, what they're feeling, what they're saying, and things of that nature. But it can be incredibly hard on drawing lines with clients. And so that's still something I'm navigating myself on how to make sure clients are not attempting to cross any lines.
And I know there are more and more female attorneys, which is wonderful. I would hope there's a pretty decent support group in the triangle for female attorneys.
There is. So there are, I've even Alex Anderson, the attorney you just mentioned, she's fantastic. We had a conversation about this a couple months ago, just talking through kind of what it looks like to be a woman in the legal industry. And I do think it's changing for the better. I completely agree with you, Mike, that there seems to be a positive shift. And that makes our lives and our jobs a lot easier. But it's still something that we're working for. And ultimately, I foresee it moving in the right direction.
And you're a couple years out of law school, so and I'm going to get to the stuff you're working on in a second. But what if there's a 14-year-old, 15-year-old female that's even remotely thinking about a career in the legal fee is as an attorney? What would you tell them to start thinking about and working on in classes, extracurricular activities, anything like that?
I, you know, it's very different for me. I came from animal science. And so I don't have the typical attorney background where I took debate club or took pre-law classes. So what I would tell them is do what you're passionate about and make sure that you are preparing for a job that can be extremely challenging. There are a lot of problem solving strategies and skills that you're going to need to be putting into place, but that doesn't necessarily have to be learned with these pre law courses. I believe there is this preset notion that you have to do pre law to be able to go to law school, or you have to do certain extracurriculars, and that's just not the case. As long as you are developing those skill sets, then do what you're passionate about.
I wish every school in all the land at whatever level, especially high school and college, it's mandatory to take a public speaking class. I don't care what profession you're going into.
I wish I had that because I got lucky. I loved theater in high school, and so that's where I picked up a lot of my public speaking skills. In undergrad, I took one public speaking course, and it was in a class of maybe 10 people, and so it wasn't necessarily this large setting where I had to learn how to either negotiate or kind of pitch an idea to people. And so theater for me gave me a lot of my public speaking skills. And so I owe a lot to that foundation to why I am the person I am today. So but yes, I do agree with you. I wish there was some sort of mandatory public speaking class because it is so important not only for developing that skill set but also developing a young person's confidence.
Okay, one of the reasons I like doing this show is I tell people I know what interstate I'm starting on, but I wait for the first off ramp. Okay, you just gave me an off ramp. Can you sing and dance?
Absolutely not. No. Let me tell you, if you asked me to sing, you would very quickly regret that question because it is not good. I did just basic theater, no dancing, no singing, and so a couple of the plays that we did were they were so fun, but did not luckily did not include any singing or dancing because I can do neither.
Is there a role you're known for from high school drama class?
No, I to be honest, I can't even we did such different plays. We didn't do your typical ones like Romeo and Juliet or other plays of that nature. We did ones that were specific for high school students. And so I couldn't even begin to tell you what the name of my characters were, but I did enjoy it. I loved our drama teacher. He was fantastic and was very encouraging and helped people come out of their shells. So, some of my fondest memories, as well as, like I said, the foundation of the skill sets that I have today, come from that course.
And that's one of the things I like about BNI is it forces you every week to stand up, whether it's 30 seconds or a minute. A, you've got to create what you're going to say, and then B,
Mhm.
you have to say it, and hopefully you won't and and gee. Oh yeah, one more thing. I wish public speaking was mandatory for everybody.
I agree. I completely agree.
All right, so one of the things at Campbell that I wrote down, and I think I read it right, the East Moot Hong Kong team.
Yes. So Campbell actually participates in an international arbitration competition and has been doing so for a few years now. Originally, it was coached by Judge Ridgway and Professor Pendry, but it is now coached by Professor Papadima at Campbell Law School. They have been very successful over the last little bit, so that's wonderful. I did have the opportunity to make the team and travel to Hong Kong to participate, and very much enjoyed my time there. That also was one of those events that developed my skill sets today, so far as negotiation, as well as explaining and arguing my side. So that was very interesting, and I did end up doing very well in that competition. I placed in the top third of all the oralists from around the globe, and
Wow.
so yes, it was a fantastic competition.
How long were you in Hong Kong?
We were there for about a week, week and a half. And so we would just continue to compete in various rounds. And then after that, we would just be scheduled for another one. So I got to explore Hong Kong,
Oh, yeah.
fortunately, before everything happened with COVID.
Mhm.
And so, it was a fantastic trip. I learned a lot and very grateful for the opportunity.
The other thing I like about the people I meet in BNI is their connection to community. And I know you've done 2 mission trips, one to Guatemala and one to Honduras. And I know those were, very impactful for you.
They were. So I've done a couple different mission trips. I've also been to Peru. I grew up going to Guatemala on mission trips. As I mentioned earlier, my father is a pediatrician. And so we would take medical mission trips down there with people from his office and people from local churches. And so it was a fantastic way to give back. You always come back from those trips with your mindset kind of put back into a right spot, and it almost resets your community first mindset. So I enjoyed those trips growing up as well.
Are you bilingual?
I am not. It's very unfortunate. My parents really tried to get me to learn Spanish growing up. I wish I had listened. I hope they're not listening because they will milk that for all it's worth. But I do. They were right. I wish I had listened. Luckily, I now have a bilingual legal assistant. Her name's Viviana, and so that allows us to serve the Spanish speaking community here in the Triangle area.
Very nice. One of the notes I found on you because I professionally stalk, I just want you to know that it's with professional purpose, intentions. You were when you were at state, you were an RA, a resident assistant?
I was, yes.
Oh god, I remember and I was not a troublemaker, and everybody who knows me from younger days will admit that I was boring as all get out. But man, oh man, I watched some RAs deal with stuff that whatever they were paying them back then for their own room sometimes wasn't worth it.
It so that's another position that I look back on, and it was very challenging, but I did learn how to manage people,
Oh, yeah.
and which has helped me now. I work with a paralegal and a legal assistant. We coordinate together, and it's been helpful on navigating um, potentially not the best situations. Obviously, as a resident advisor, you're running into a bunch of different stuff, some hard things to face as well, and so
Stupid
um,
males, that's what you're running into, and you just tell them, "Go outside, you guys fight it out, and whoever's left standing wins the argument. Now get out of my office."
I did. I actually had one of those where it actually turned into a physical
Mhm.
altercation. I
Ooh.
was the on-call resident advisor that week and got a call from one of my residents. And now you also need to note that I was a resident advisor in all women dorm. And so get a call that there's two males that are fighting in the rooms.
Yep.
And so yeah, that was an interesting one, but it ended up working itself out. So but very, very interesting things happened during my time as a resident
It
advisor.
it
I saw a lot.
it prompted you for conflict resolution, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Ye
Absolutely. And even some negotiation.
Yes, and if there's any parent who's not sent a child to college yet, if you have a daughter, there will be boys trying to sneak into her not maybe not to see her, but in her dorm, and if you have a son, there will be women there trying to sneak into his dorm. So,
There
yes.
always is.
Yep.
The dorm that I was the resident advisor for, it was an all women dorm. And there were rules on when men could
Mhm.
be in dorm rooms. And obviously those were broken multiple times, got
Yes.
calls about that. And so that was a very interesting thing as well. Try as you might, even if there are rules in place, that is not always something that can be prevented.
Yeah. Yeah, my kind were a lot of fun. We're bright sometimes, and we think we can get away with a lot, and we're really not as quiet as we think we are at midnight, right? Trying to sneak into a girl's door. It just doesn't work that easy. So
Well, it was one of those things too. It was so funny because the dorms they had 4 bedrooms per unit and 2 girls in each bedroom,
mhm,
and they shared one bathroom. So
yep,
I'm not sure why they felt as though they could hide their significant others, but
yep.
they did in fact try. So
Oh,
um,
that's five-star living. If I may say, back in my day, which I was a freshman at Tennessee in 1979, there were 2 beds to a room, and there was a community shower and bathroom in the middle of the hallway, so it was hard to sneak down there and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night if you had to, if you were not supposed to be there.
oh
Now, the
yes,
guys wouldn't mind if a girl was walking down there, but the girls probably minded a whole lot more if there was a guy walking down there. Just a hunch.
absolutely.
Oh, the RAs, I don't know what they paid them. I think they gave them back then, they may have gotten, like, $100 we were on the quarter system. They may have gotten,
Mhm.
like, $100 a quarter, and their own room may have been comped, I don't know, but the stuff I saw in a guy's dorm, just it wasn't worth it.
I could tell you it was not enough.
We, one day, there was a bed laid across the top of the stalls in the bathroom because one of the guys had pissed off enough of us on the floor, and we just took his bed and put it on top of the he went out for a date on a Friday night, we took his bed out of his dorm room, laid it across the stalls in the bathroom, and everybody went to bed, and, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
I cannot imagine getting that call
Mm,
and being like, "Okay, well, how do we do this?"
yeah, and we're all in our
Yes.
room, it was coordinated, I'm like, I don't know, I've been in my room for, so, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not paid enough.
No, there's certain jobs, it's like, you can have it. I don't care what the retirement program is, you can have it. So anyways. All right, Lindsey Reedy with Hill Law, folks, if you need help on, business matters, especially if you're a startup or, need some business advice, please give Lindsay a call. We've been putting her number up there and the website for anybody to get in touch with Lindsay. We've appreciated the time. I know you're new to the world, to the attorney world for the most part, and certainly new to BNI, but glad to have you in both. And we hope that 2022 goes well. I know you're a marketing guru out there, which is new to the legal world for a lot of us. So I hope a lot of that just starts getting you some traction in 22, but it's been a joy having you on the show, Lindsay.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you for having me today.
And we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.